Well, welcome to another bourbon hunt. This time we're at Trickum Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Georgia. It's kind of a funny background. You know, been doing bourbon hunts for years, and most times I just show up at a shop and either ask or start videotaping. If they don't want me to videotape, I turn it off. I don't have any animosity. I don't come outside the shop and, trash them for not allowing me to do a video. It's their store. It's their right. They want to show prices. They don't want to show prices. I'm good with either way. But MK, the store manager of Trickum Wine, called me up and said, hey, come by and do a video. We've seen your channel. We want to be on YouTube. Come by and do a video. So today we're here to see what they have in fine bourbons and whiskeys. So let's go inside. Now, when you come in Trickum Wine and Spirits, it's a neighborhood bottle shop. It's not huge, it's not small, it's kind of somewhere in between, but they have a nice selection of bourbons, whiskeys, spirits, and of course, cold-related products, ready-to-drink products. So we're going to go right back to their bourbon aisle and see what they have. Okay, from here, all the way down is their bourbon and American whiskeys, and then on the right side we've got our scotches and Irish whiskeys and Canadian whiskeys. But this is what we're looking at today, so let's see what they have. All right, right up top I see some interesting things you don't see in every shop. Of course, they've got the Old Forester, their rye barrel, single barrel, and the Blue Note, the honey rye cask. Now, I've got the bourbon honey cask, and I like it. It's not the best honey cask I've ever tasted, but it is good. I've not tasted this one. This one's interesting. And of course, if we come down here, we see Booker's. We got a Yellowstone 101, and look, Buffalo Trace. Joseph Magnus, Bee's Knees 4. I heard that the Bee's Knees 5 is now out. And of course, one of my favorites, this Widow Jane Decadence. This is the 2024 release, and it is $99.99. A lot of places I see it for well over $100, so that is a good price. Anytime you can get the Widow Jane Decadence under $100, it's a good day. We got our Michter's, Whistle Pig, and then coming down, we see various Knob Creeks and Elijah Craig's. Heaven Hill. Anytime you can get Heaven Hill for under $50, that's a buy. There's the Widow Jane 10-year. And you don't see the Heaven Hill grain to glass. It's still a little bit hard to find. This is their bourbon whiskey. I'm a fan of their wheated bourbon. And of course, Eagle Rare 10-year. I see no limit on it. They've got several bottles. Baker's. And as we come down here, we've got a various assortment, including my favorite Castle and Key, this guy right here. Their cask strength wheated bourbon whiskey for $64.99. I was just at the Castle and Key distillery last week in Kentucky. Let's see what else we got down here. We got our Benchmarks, our Puncher's Chance, and of course Old Crow. Working a little way down, we got our Woodford Reserves, including the Kentucky Derby special release, our Basil Hayden's, Old Pepper. I was at their distillery recently. Evan Williams, 10 high, and more Evan Williams on the bottom. McKenna 10-year, can't go wrong with McKenna. Several Jack Daniels here, including their barrel proofs. George Dickel, Ben Holiday. You know I'm a fan of Ben Holiday. And we got some Ezra Brooks, some Starlight, and Old Granddad on the bottom. Here are a lot more Jack Daniels, all they're flavored. our redemptions, and of course Penelope. You know I'm a big fan of Penelope. This is an excellent bourbon whiskey for the money. They're wheated, $39.99. Huge fan of this Penelope Chapter 1. Their cigar sessions. I see that for a lot of places for $100. Here it's $84.99. And then down on the bottom here we got some flavored whiskeys. And on the top here we got some Fiddler Soloist. Duality. They're wheated and toasted bourbons. Four Roses. Rowan's Creek. Redemption. And coming down we got our Blue Note. Big fan of the Juke Joint and the Crossroads. Uncle Nearest. Bernheim. Both their small batch and their barrel proof. Some more Old Smoky on the bottom. And one of my wife's favorites, Southern Comfort. We got a Larceny barrel proof, the A123. Wild Turkey. Coming down, Remus, Sweetens Cove, Kentucky Spirit, one of my favorites of the Wild Turkey lineup. And down here are Georgia Distillery, Moonrise. And then of course, Isaac Bowman and Bowman Brothers. Just about everything Bowman Brothers makes is good whiskey. Coming down, we got the James E. Pepper decanter. The Bardstown Black Label, their Origin, one of my favorite wheated bourbons. And then some more various bourbons and whiskeys on the bottom. And if you missed out on the Four Roses 10 recipe tasting experience, I don't see them a lot of places, but Trickum still has a couple of them here. And if you've not done that, that is a wonderful way to find out which Four Roses recipes is your favorite. And look at this guy hiding here, the Woodford Reserve Madeira Cask Finish. Now this is an allocated, hard to find, I don't see it everywhere, but they've got them at Trickum Wine and Spirits for $2.29. All right, let's hit a few end caps. Here's our Elijah Craig, a single barrel. And if you've been hunting the 1792 extended finish, they've got the cognac cask and the rum cask here. And they got several of them, along with the small batch and the Bottleton Bond. And they have a sale going on the Jefferson's Reserve, the Tropics, the Twin Oak, and the Cask Strength. Here's our Ocean at Sea. Yeah, and look at that price, $29.99. Another local distillery, 13th Colony. When I say local, Americus, Georgia. Both their Cask Strength Rye and their Cask Strength Bourbon Whiskey. Are you looking for the Bullet Single Barrel? Well, they have it here for $64.99. Looking for a 1.75 of the Woodford Reserve? $66.99. And you just can't beat that price for Old Forester, $24.99. And speaking of Old Forester, Whiskey Row, the 1870, the 1897, the 1920, and the Statesman. My favorite is this guy right here, and it's under 50 bucks. And we got some large Old Foresters and some Old Forester 100. And if you're looking for barrel picks, Elijah Craig single barrel, 8-year, the 94 proof. Now I think these Elijah Craig single barrels are wonderful, and these are only $39.99. You should get one of these. These are fabulous. And look at that price on Jim Beam 4-year. And they got a lot of them. So that pretty much wraps it up on the bourbon aisle of Trickum Wine and Spirits. They've got more behind the counter. They've got their allocated and limited releases, and we're going to take a sneak peek out of that. Now I will tell you, if you're in the hunt for limited releases and allocated, Trickum Wine and Spirits has a nice selection. Now, they are in the back behind the counter, and if you're not a regular customer, you're going to pay at or near secondary prices. But here's the trick. Become a regular customer so you can get these fine whiskeys and bourbons at better prices, at loyalty prices. That's the deal at Trickum Wine and Spirits. Become a regular customer so you can get bourbons like this Heaven Hill 19, or this Stag, or this Jack 14. So that pretty much wraps up our tour of Trickum Wine and Spirits. We'll leave an address in the bottom and in the description. Come by and see MK and let him know that Bourbon Rider sent you. See you next time on Bourbon Hunt.